Soul Risers, welcome back. Today we will be talking about what to do when you face problems or psychological discomfort. Have you ever been in a situation which felt so overwhelming that you just didn't know what to do? You felt that your fight, flight, or freeze response were at its highest. Have you ever been in a situation that caused such psychological discomfort that you really wish that you could have a simple formula or someone to talk to who would help guide you through your situation? Well, this video is right here for you, and you are in the right place at the right time. Today, I will be telling you some simple steps to facing problems that overwhelm you and how to go about the psychological discomfort. So, to begin with, I will be sharing with you a simple 5-step guide. Step 1. Acknowledge it but not too much. What does it mean when you say acknowledge it but not too much? When you face any type of psychological discomfort or feel a sense of overwhelming feelings because of a problem, it's important to see that the problem is there for a reason, and it's almost behaving like a spoiled child. It needs some attention. When you acknowledge it, you sort of give it that attention, and it helps quiet that restlessness a little bit in the beginning. Now, acknowledge it, but not too much. The but not too much part basically means to not dwell on it. So, what does it mean when I say don't dwell on something? So, when you feel overwhelming feelings and let's say you have expectations from someone, they're disappointing you, or you really had a lot of hopes for an outcome, but you didn't receive that outcome. And so the first step involves acknowledging it. Okay, it is what it is. That's the kind of thinking that you can tell yourself. But the key is not to stay within the spirit of that acknowledgement for too long. The key is not to allow whatever that feeling is to linger on. So, when you follow this step, an important element to remember is that self-compassion. And so a self-compassionate voice would say something like, we are only human and get triggered. So it's only human, you're only human to feel the ups and downs of life and to get triggered when certain situations don't work out your way. And that's okay. When you allow yourself to acknowledge whatever issue has come up and see it with a receptive softness, what happens is that you allow that space for it. And when you don't dwell on it too much, what you're doing is you're taking your power back. You're telling yourself that, okay, this is the problem, but that problem is not taking over me. It's not controlling my mind. It's not controlling anything that I decide to do. And so when you acknowledge something, a big chunk of what happens is that resistance is the idea that when you are running away from a feeling, you are fighting it, you're resisting it. And this is never helpful because you will keep running away from that feeling. And so resistance is not helpful, acceptance is helpful. And radical acceptance is even better. So acceptance also helps you not only present yourself within that situation with a type of receptive softness, but also helps you align with the situation. So you're in the here and now. You say, okay, it is what it is. What can we do about it? And then you just allow it to be as it is. in step 1. You don't wrestle with it anymore. You don't allow the resistance to take over, because the more you resist something, the more it will get stronger and stronger, and that feeling will slowly take over you. And the key here is that you are the boss of your mind, your health, your thoughts and your emotions and the feelings that bring you down are not the boss of you. So the last thing I would like to share about step 1 is that acknowledging something but not dwelling on it is not akin to learned helplessness. Just because it's shared that it's good to acknowledge something and accept it, it doesn't mean that you are giving up on it or there's a type of helplessness to it. But it is akin to being more open minded and flexible. You have to go in with a gentle spirit, present yourself in an open minded, flexible way. Okay, life is throwing these things at me. Let me see how I can roll with the punches. And, you know, it is what it is. And let's see how, what I could do next, or how things are going to unfold next. Step 2, thank the emotion. So, this again connects with step 1 in its ability and goal towards removing that feeling of resistance. When you thank an emotion, first of all, an emotion comes to you because it's trying to give you a message. It's trying to stir something within you, within your life, that needs to be addressed, needs to be maybe transformed or changed. And so, whatever you're receiving in your life, especially your perception of reality that manifests through whatever emotion you're feeling, you say thank you to it. Be it sadness, be it disappointment, be it anger, you say thank you to it because you will see it as the gift of uneasiness. What is the gift of uneasiness? Well, growth, transformation, all the positive things such as developing a stronger, braver spirit, all of these come from a place of discomfort. You need to face a little bit of discomfort in order to reach that point, because that discomfort is the very thing that makes you stronger. And so, uneasiness, feeling uneasy, is inadvertently a gift. And when you accept it and thank it for what it is, you will very soon realize that you are at peace with whatever life is presenting to you, and that way you can approach with the next steps. So, step 1 is acknowledging, and step 2 is thanking the emotion. I know that it might sound too over the top or maybe even Pollyannish or unrealistic to think of things in this manner, because as human beings we tend to be reactive, responsive. We just want to get out of a situation that's uncomfortable. It's very, very, very human and normal to think and feel that way. So allow yourself to even give permission to feel and think that way. But after that, try to practice this step of gratitude, because even though it seems unrealistic or over the top, maybe these are the things you might think about it, it works in magical ways. And there is no harm in trying things that might magically lead to unfolding of your greatest wishes and desires. So whatever emotions you're getting, whatever situations are arising in your life from the extrinsic world, thank it and see it as a gift of uneasiness. And now step 3. So step 3 involves seeing what it is trying to show you. So whatever is coming up in your life is trying to show you something. In most cases, believe it or not, it is things that are missing within yourself that you need to build. Whenever a situation arises from the extrinsic world, it is not the situation itself that is creating the reaction that you come up with, but it's your perception of the situation, your thoughts of the situation, the way you choose to think and perceive the situation that is causing you to react in certain ways. And here is where your power to create the life you want, the reaction you want, the response you want comes into perspective. It's kind of like knowing that even though you're living in a world full of extrinsic factors, it is through the intrinsic factors that you actually come to experience the extrinsic factors. So let's say someone disappointed you and you had very high expectations from them. Instead of taking it personally, your perception of the situation could go two ways, okay? So the first thing you could say is, oh my gosh, they are not at all respecting me and they are not at all nice to me, and it's so sad that people are always disappointing me. So that's perception number one. And that's what leads you to feel crappy and shitty and bad and sorry for my language, but you know what I'm coming to. And perception B would be something like, okay, well, this person disappointed me. They're not actually doing what I expect them to do or behaving in ways that I expect them to behave. However, see, they themselves are going through so much in their life. It's, I don't even think it has anything to do with me. It's just that they are going through a lot, and maybe they just need time to process. And so, do you see what you just did here? In perception 2 or perception B, what you ended up doing is perceiving the world in a different way that releases you from that feeling of existential angst, that feeling of anxiety. You say to yourself, okay, you absolutely take nothing personally. You see what it is trying to show you, and when I say it's basically your perception of reality. It's nothing but your perception of reality. That it is not even directly focused on the extrinsic world. It's focused on your intrinsic world. So see what your internal factors are trying to show you. And so, when I said in most cases it is things that are missing within yourself, it basically means if you're perceiving something a certain way, it means that's a part of you that you need to work on, especially if it's something that is bothering you. So, if you're taking things personally and you're saying to yourself that, okay, so this person is not behaving in certain ways, that means they're not being respectful of me. So it indirectly means that you are depending on someone to feel respectful. But why? Why would you want to depend on anyone to feel that you are respectful, right? Or respectable, right? So, for example, if when you're using or when you are depending on other people as conduits to allow you to feel a certain way about yourself, then you are completely giving your power away to the other person. So what do you do instead? You take the power back. You take the power back. You take the power back from the person, the situation, the group, whatever is bothering you, right? Take the power back and tell yourself you do not have to depend on any extrinsic factors to make you feel a certain way. And the very fact that you're depending on it means that it is missing within you. And if it is missing within you, then it's only and only up to you to fill that space up. So start validating your own self when no one else is out there to do it. Tell yourself you are a respectable person, you are beautiful, you are trying your best with whatever challenges you face in your life, and so on and so forth. But again, there is a slight difference that's very subtle difference you need to acknowledge here as well. When you tell yourself that okay, when you give yourself that self compassion or self love, it does not mean sugarcoating incompetence, not in the least. It means understanding that you're worthy enough to climb towards competence. And the whole point of seeing what it is trying to show you, which is step 3 here, is that you are allowing yourself to climb towards those empty parts of you that need to be filled by you first and foremost. Okay? And that's how you approach the situation in step 3. If you've heard of Joseph Campbell and the hero's journey, it's basically analogous to that. As human beings, we are constantly facing these cycles, also known as hero's journeys, where you are living through life, all is going well, suddenly an adversity strikes, suddenly a problem strikes, suddenly a crisis strikes, and you feel broken. You fall apart. You feel fragmented. A part of you just feels wounded. And it almost feels like you have descended to the underworld. And what is this underworld? It's basically the feeling, the hellish feeling you feel within yourself, the existential hell you feel when you fall into your own underworld. So, what happens in the hero's journey? You start at the top, you fall when you face adversity, but it's only when you face the adversity head on. So, it's called facing head on the supreme ordeal that you can truly transform what you're feeling. And so, transformation comes from coming face to face with whatever the situation is trying to show you and not running away from it. Okay? So that is step 3. At the end of step 3, you would have seen that you are acknowledging your hero's journey and you're open to being transformed, reborn, and um, and building yourself up again. So this brings us to step 4. Step 4 is taking brave action. And this begins with composure. So, step 4 is the action step. Now that you've prepared yourself, you've acknowledged that there is an issue, you thank it for whatever it's trying to bring into your life. And most of the cases, it's something that helps you become a better version of yourself. And step 3, where you are seeing what it is trying to show you, what it is trying to teach you. The fourth step is taking brave action. Why brave? Because anytime you try to face your supreme ordeal, anything that's making you feel uncomfortable, anything that's making you feel psychologically overwhelmed, you have to feel brave enough to be able to face it. So give yourself a pat in the back for being able to do that. And it always begins with composure. Compose yourself before taking brave action. Because when you take 2 steps back, compose yourself, it clears your mind, helps you think in clearer and better ways. Okay, so now we're going to head to the next step. Step 5. If you feel too overwhelmed, the objective must be to calm yourself down. So, after you've tried the first 4 steps and nothing is going through to you, nothing is working out, then what is probably happening is that you are so identified with that feeling of feeling overwhelmed that, this is the thing, this is sh- trying to tell you that you first need to do anything that you can to calm yourself down, to get out of that feeling of feeling overwhelmed. So the objective here must be to calm yourself down. There are many ways of calming yourself down. You could use distractions, go for a walk, listen to music, watch something on TV that cheers you up, potentially things that put you in a better mood. Or you could use visual imagery. Imagination is a beautiful ability that is unique only to the human species. And so, when you use the power of your imagination to visualize something that helps you feel calm, it is what helps you get over that feeling of feeling overwhelmed or psychologically uncomfortable. And so, visual imagery could be something as simple as visualizing, imagining yourself on a beach with pina coladas, or it could be something more complex, like visualizing yourself going through that task that overwhelms you step by step and seeing yourself already overcome it. Okay? And then the last step or the last technique you could use is meditation. Whenever you feel really overwhelmed, what helps is meditation. And meditation is no mystery in today's world. It's all about training your mind to improve its focus and concentration. So, what happens in meditation is you sit yourself down and focus on something like your breathing, like the sensations in your body, or whatever you choose to focus on. It could be the sun, the moon, the stars, the sky, the light, anything you choose to focus on, you simply focus on that with undivided attention in as much capability as you can. When you do that, you're teaching your mind to focus, to concentrate, and so over time, your mind learns to keep its focus on things that cheer you up, things that uplift you, and take its focus off of things that do not are not really serving for your better good. And so that's the magic of practicing these techniques using distractions, visual imagery, or meditation. So, whenever the first four steps are not working, in the fifth step, it's probably because you're overwhelmed. And if you're overwhelmed, then use things like distractions, visual imagery, or meditation to calm yourself down. That would be the first goal. So now that we've gone through all five steps of what to do when you face psychological discomfort, we will now just quickly summarize the steps for you. Step 1, acknowledge whatever the situation, problem, emotion, or feeling is, but do not dwell on it. Step 2, thank the emotion. It Consider it as a gift of uneasiness. Say thank you to the emotion. Step 3, see what it is trying to show you. Step 4, take brave action. Once you know what it's trying to show you, maybe it's trying to show you a part of you that needs to be developed, then take brave action. Face it head on fearlessly. And step 5, if none of the above steps are working for you, it's probably because you're in a stage of feeling completely overwhelmed by whatever is overwhelming you. So your focus here should be on calming yourself down through various techniques that I highlighted before. That's all, folks. Thank you. You are an awesome audience.